Welcome back to the podcast. It's your girl, Jess Burgio. I'm so excited you're here for this kickoff of the summer series. I am so excited because I have been wanting to create a series based on some of the things that have been coming up for me recently. If you listened to last week's episode, you know what I'm talking about. I have had quite the last year, really, but really last 6 months, and it's made me reflect on a lot of things. And it's helped me to really step into this leadership role that I am in currently with House of Influence, which is my 6-month mastermind with some of the most incredible women I've had an opportunity to work with. I'm so grateful that they all said yes. I'm so grateful that I said yes to putting this container together because I know it was so needed. And every time I teach, every time I mentor, every time I get the opportunity to have a conversation, I learn. I learn more about myself. I learn more about women, how we think, how we process, the conditions, the beliefs, everything that's kind of been put on us from the last several decades, and trying to create value-packed podcast episodes for you where you can sit with me for 15 to 30 minutes and really take something away, feel seen, feel heard, understand that it's not just you. You're not the problem, though part of that's something I'm going to talk about today. We know that we're probably not quote unquote stuck. And if you read the title of this podcast episode, it says, you're not stuck, you're self-editing, or you're editing yourself. And after the last couple of calls inside the House of Influence, the mastermind, I have just been sitting with something that has been sticking out. And I didn't really have like a true language for it until now, but I kept hearing the same theme over the last couple of calls, so much so that I put the transcripts from the calls into chat. And I was like, what is the through line? What do I keep hearing? Because, I'm so deep in the calls with the girls that I'm like, I need to make sense of some of the things. And so far, the calls have been pretty structured with some questions to get them connected to one another so that we can really go deep quick. I'm a projector. That's what we do. And a Pisces. So I'm going to drop the room in real quick anytime you're around me. But the thing that I kept hearing, and that chat made obvious as we pulled together today's podcast episode, is they were saying some of the same things. And they're going to shock you because I guarantee they're so simple that you're like, yep, I do all of those things. They said things like, I don't know why I'm not posting. I know I should be more visible. I know I have more in me. I know I'm meant for more. And I know I need to be putting myself out there. And what's interesting is these are not women who are brand new to the game, right? They are not inexperienced in any way, shape, or form. These are very, very smart women, successful women, women who have built businesses, raised kids. Some of them have led teams. A lot of them have made a ton of money and survived really hard things, pivoted careers, started over. And I think for a long time, even in the coaching world, we've been so quick to assume that we quote unquote need more strategy or systems or tactics, right? All of that masculine stuff, even more consistency, which I am a huge fan of consistency, don't get me wrong, but that we have to wait to feel more confident and have these like really curated content plans. And after these last couple calls inside the House of Influence, I was like, I actually don't think that's the problem. I think what's happening is that we're self-editing. And I noticed it with myself. Like, I have been doing it a lot more than I realized. And I think that's what was causing so much friction with who I truly am, the old identity of myself, and what I really want to be saying and how I really want to be speaking to the people that I'm meant to serve. And when you do that, you become the bottleneck. You become the problem. And like I said earlier, yeah, the great thing about knowing that you're the problem is that you can also be the solution. And so we spend a lot of our days self-editing in real time, like throughout the day. And we don't even realize we're doing it. We don't even realize we're doing it. And like I said, I see myself doing it all the time. Even recording this episode, there's a part of me that's like, don't say that. That sounds too intense. I had to like reiterate the script that I wanted to write out a couple of times because sometimes I feel like I'm too much, or sometimes I get a little too woo-woo with the shit. Or you guys know me. If you're new here, you don't know, but if you've been here a while, I can be very opinionated, or I'll think maybe people don't understand this, or this isn't what they need to hear this, or maybe I'm going to turn somebody off with what I'm saying. But then I started realizing, holy shit, that is the work. Me being me is the work. That is the brand. You are the brand. Just like my bro, Matt Gottesman always says, you are the niche. I think truly what he means by that is you are you. You are one of one. You have zero competition. All you have to learn how to do is be yourself. And I think that's the biggest flex in this AI space that you can learn is to stop fucking worrying about the algorithm. Stop trying to research the perfect hashtags, working out the perfect strategy, and just be yourself. I know that sounds so simple, but it's like, are you willing to be seen without constantly filtering yourself through what may feel acceptable to everybody else? That's the question. Are you willing to be fully seen without constantly filtering yourself? You have to be done trying to be accepted by everybody. That is a really tough / rough experience that I've had over the last 6 months. Is not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like your coaching style. Not everyone's going to like your big personality if you happen to have one. Not everyone's going to like the way you deliver content. But one of the women in the mastermind said something that I mentioned earlier. She said, I'm realizing I'm actually the bottleneck in my business. And I was like, damn. I think the whole room was like, damn, because they were like a small bit of like, yeah, I think we are too. And these are not like lazy people. Obviously, they've just invested a large amount of money to be part of this mastermind. They're certainly capable, but I think it's because most of us want to stay emotionally safe, but we're trying to build bigger lives while trying to stay safe. Do you see how those identities don't match up? But as women, we've been conditioned our whole life to do this, to play small, to be likable, to be agreeable, to be polished. Don't be too loud. I was always told that. And quietly, like, there's that, like, don't be too ambitious. And there was most definitely don't be too emotional. Now we're like afraid to be too spiritual. That came through on some of the calls, but certainly don't be too quote unquote much was what I know I got a lot of. And if you are drawn to my type of energy, you're probably somebody who can relate to that. So then we grow up, we start businesses, we build brands, we launch podcasts and say we want visibility, but subconsciously we're still trying to manage how people experience us. That is what is exhausting. And that is why I think so many women feel quote unquote burnt out from content creation. I'm throwing up air quotes if you're not watching this on YouTube. Content creation life. I don't think it's actually the content. The content's actually fun because if you truly looked at what content is, it's sharing your experience. It's sharing your opinion. Why is that so stressful? Why are you making it seem like it has to be so perfect? Think of what you want to say. Turn your freaking camera on. Try to say it as concisely as possible without any filter and post that. You should be able to do that like 3 times a day. I guarantee you without fail, you think something of importance 5 to 50 times a day that you could totally turn into a piece of content, but you don't filter it, or you filter it because you don't look right. The camera is not a good angle. You turn on the camera and you're like, whoa, bad lighting. I don't have my makeup on. I'm in a shitty outfit. What will people think if I say this? So-and-so is going to think I'm talking about them if I say this. That one is hard for me. Because I'm like, someone's going to take this and spin it the wrong way. So again, I don't actually think it's the content in and of itself. I think it's the constant self-management, self-criticism, self-doubt. You are trying to be palatable for everybody. Or maybe you're trying to sound really smart. Or like some of my friends, too polished. Because you come from an industry where that's expected. Or you're plain just trying to sound professional, which I've given up on that. I know I'm professional. I know I have a premium base of clients that I see in person and online. I know that I am XYZ, but there's still a part of me that really does try to show up professional so that you, them, they will take me seriously. You're constantly trying not to upset people. You're trying not to lose followers because you don't want to be too polarizing. And then you also find yourself at times, at least for me, this has happened several times where you try not to contradict the version of yourself that people already know. Meaning you talk about things that also interest you or that might not be relatable to your brand or things that you sell. Hello, that's called a personal brand, right? 1 minute you can think this, the next minute you can think that. 1 minute you can want to eat a donut, the next minute you're showing off that you're at the gym. Everything's a contradiction. Our lives are a contradiction. And all of that is what's draining everybody. It's not just posting. If you just posted to post, like, you would do it because you would share the things that you know. And that's another thing that someone said in the room that came up. She said, we downplay what we know because we know it. I've said that a million times before. And what I've gone back to and what's true for me is I know that I'm a foundations master. I was in the beauty industry with teaching my assistants year over year. I would get a new assistant every couple of years. I would train them. I would teach them the foundations of the business, foundations of cutting, color, client experience. Every single assistant / stylist that has worked with me has gone on to create a 6-figure business if they're still doing hair and or a successful career outside of the beauty industry. And I'd like to think it was because I had that shown to me, the mentors I had in the game, the people I saw who failed, the lessons I learned from people thinking that they knew everything, but they really needed to know shit. You can know a skill and not know business. You can be the reason why your business fails. But that part about downplaying what we know because we know it, like that is it. That is the problem. The thing that feels so obvious to you, the thing that you barely even think maybe has value, probably something you've lived through, things that come naturally to you, it's often the exact thing that someone else desperately needs to learn from you, hear from you, or see from you. But because it's so normal to you, you dismiss it. And I have done this so many times in my own life, thinking that bigger was better, that I needed to learn more, to teach more, to grow more. When in fact, people want simplicity. They want to be able to do what you're doing. So if you keep making things complex, they're not going to do them. That's why my podcast course, when I first ran it, was called Start Your Damn Podcast. It wasn't called Start, Launch, Grow, Scale, Monetize Your Podcast. It was called Start Your Damn Podcast. One step at a time, baby. One step at a time. And that's what I talk about. Like I thought, for podcasting, oh, we're just having conversations over here. But no. Podcasting has literally, and I've said this a million times, changed my life. How? Well, let me break it down for you. I made a list of things. It's taught me how to articulate my thoughts. It has given me an insane amount of confidence. It has helped me build unbreakable, lifetime type of relationships that I would have not otherwise had a chance to build. It has given me countless opportunities to this day that still pay dividends. When people say, I want to monetize my podcast, I'm like, got you. I have sold out my masterminds, my coaching programs, my courses through people I have never talked to personally, but have been listening to the show. It's given me my own platform. And in a day where you don't own shit, like having your own platform is key. But above everything else, it's forced me to stop hiding and help me find my voice. And that's something I said early on with podcasting, is that it helped me find my true authentic voice, because you have to speak to have a podcast. You can't just dance on TikTok. You have to share what you're thinking, your own perspectives. And for the first probably 300 plus episodes, I didn't script out one single podcast episode. Not one. I would put little bullet point notes, in front of my computer to, make sure I stayed on track, especially when I'm in teaching mode. But sitting inside this mastermind now with these women, I'm realizing that all along, that's what I've been helping women do. It's not just build a podcast or post more content. I've been helping women stop self-editing long enough to let people actually see them and hear them. And that to me is what honestly I think a personal brand is. It's not your aesthetics, though I love a good, aesthetic feed. It's not what font you have. And it's definitely not a perfectly curated page. It's integration of all of the things that I've been talking about. It's letting all parts of you exist in the same room. Those parts of you are your ambition, maybe your softness, your intelligence. There are some highly intelligent women in this container. And I want to see more of that brilliance. I want them to brag on themselves. I want them to talk about their gifts and their hard work that they've put in, that experience, that knowledge, that lived life lessons. I want them to feel unapologetic about sharing the spirituality side of their business and their life and how that's changed their life, or their humor, or the grief that they've gone through. Some of these women have faced some of the most difficult things that I can't even fathom, and they are still here, showing up online, wanting to build and help and grow and mentor other women, because they know that they did not go through that shit for nothing. And like I shared in last week's episode, I truly believe all of the things that I shared in that podcast episode happened to me and for me so that I can be positioned for when I am leading a room like this. Because when shit happens, you want to hide. You don't want to talk about it when you're in the messy middle. You want to wait till you've gotten through it, or you learned, quote unquote, your lesson from it. But you have to be able to share your story. You have to be able to use your voice, all of it. Because the women people trust the most online are usually not the ones with the best strategy. They're the ones that feel the most real, right? And that was one of the biggest compliments I got from the first woman who signed up for this mastermind when I put it out there. She said, I've been looking at a few other rooms to potentially join or to people to get mentorship from. She's like, but after listening to a few of your podcast episodes, I truly feel like you're the most authentic, real one. And I want to work with someone I can relate to who is in their authenticity. And that was the biggest gift I could have ever heard, because sometimes you want to fall in line and be like everybody else, do it like everybody else. And trust me, I've been told to do it like this, do it like that. And I've tried to be like other people. And that's why I don't sell a framework. I don't sell a one size fits all, make content like this, everyone has to have a podcast type of shit. Like, I am an intuitive life and business mentor who is here to help you figure out your path. And you have to figure that out as well. Like, I can't do the work for you, right? But hearing that just solidified, people want real people. People want to connect and buy and be in rooms with real women. And we know the internet is full of content, full of it. That's not a problem. But people are starving for truth and honesty so that they can connect human to human. With AI writing everything and making all this slop content, like we're just consuming. So much shit that we don't even know what's fucking real anymore. Who wrote this? Who wrote that? Everyone's stealing captions. Everyone's using the same hooks just to go viral. So I don't think it's like what strategy is next. I think the real question is, what part of myself am I still afraid to fully reveal? Because maybe you're not stuck. Maybe you're not stuck. Maybe you're just editing yourself. So that's your homework. Where are you editing, and where could you turn the knob up just a little bit to shine your light brighter, to share your ambition, to talk about how smart you are, share your spirituality, talk about the things that you've gone through, right? Your content doesn't have to be perfect, and neither do you. I hope this episode sits well with you. I hope you are having a beautiful week. We drop episodes every Thursday on the Jessica Burgio Show. And every week, my goal is to connect with you, to build trust, and to help you feel less alone in this wild world of online business and all the things. But truly, it's to connect. And it means nothing to me to just put out content. And it means everything to me to connect with you. So if you love this episode, if you got anything out of it, or a previous episode, please send me a DM. Let me know your thoughts. Share it on social media. That goes so far in helping content creators like us, like me, get the show out to more people. If it landed and you feel like you have a friend who's been self-editing, send it to them with a heart and say, girl, show the world the real you. And the biggest final ask of mine is to leave me a rating and review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. These rating and reviews help my podcast get pushed up so that other people can find them on these huge platforms where I love a little competition, but I love my gang behind me, you guys. Gang. And if you need anything from me, send me a DM. I got you. If it's helping promote your content, if it's coming and posting on your page, if it's commenting on one of your reels, let me know how I can support. If you've got a community and you want me to come talk about personal branding or podcasting or visibility, I would love to do that for you. I'm actively looking to get on more podcasts myself. So if you have a podcast or just starting a podcast and you want a guest, I would love to come on and guest speak on your podcast. If you have a community and you have room for speakers and you want me to come present, I love sharing my energy. I love connecting with other women. I love helping support you. That is truly what I am here to do. That is my purpose, my soul's mission. So sending you so much love. I'll see you on the next episode of the Jessica Burgio Show.